Let's welcome in our powerhouse panel for the day. Joining Tom and me is best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin and Project 21 National Advisory Board member and principal of Red Tail Strategies, Christopher Arbs. Happy Friday to you guys.
Happy Friday. Allison, I have to tell you, I love that dress. My wife has a similar dress like that in the same color.
Thank you. It's the spring colors. I feel like if I wear the spring colors, then we're going to get the warm weather.
That's right.
It's not been very warm up here in the north. All right, so guys, President Biden announces a new round of military and economic aid to Ukraine. Take a listen.
In order to sustain Ukraine for the duration of this fight, next week I'm going to have to be sending to Congress a supplemental budget request to keep weapons and ammunition flowing without interruption to the brave Ukrainian fighters and continue to deliver economic assistance to the Ukrainian people.
All right, Mark, so that's another $800 million in aid. That's a lot of that will be some 144,000 rounds of ammo, tactical drones, heavy artillery. It's what a lot of people we speak to in Ukraine say they need. But one of the things, Mark, we spoke to Kira Rudik from the Ukrainian parliament, and she said, we're just not getting these supplies in time. There's so much red tape.
Good morning. First of all, I want to echo the question all of America is asking, Rob who?
Look, he's enjoying some time off.
Yeah, well-deserved, well-deserved time off.
Yeah. Rob who? Look, this is a logistical challenge because now the heavy weapons and the other equipment needs to travel.
Request to keep weapons and ammunition flowing without interruption to the brave Ukrainian fighters and continue to deliver economic assistance to the Ukrainian people.
All right, Mark, rounds of ammo, tactical drones, heavy artillery. It's what a lot of people we speak to in Ukraine say they need. But one of the things, Mark, we spoke to Kira Rudik from the Ukrainian parliament, and she said, we're just not getting these supplies in time. There's so much red tape.
Good morning. First of all, I want to echo the question all of America is asking, Rob who? Look,
he's enjoying some time off.
Yeah, well-deserved, well-deserved time off.
Yeah. Rob who? Look, this is a logistical challenge because now the heavy weapons and the other equipment needs to travel further to get to the eastern part of the country to get it into Ukraine. And there's certainly criticism to be made. But I think for those who think the administration isn't committed to getting in all of this stuff, that's wrong. They're trying. It is a logistical challenge. Some people can argue that it's come too late. There's still some systems that are not being delivered because of the administration's red line. But I think while there's plenty to criticize, I think in this area, they are trying to get it as quickly as possible, and they have been for a while.
Yeah, Chris, do you think that we're doing enough?
I think we're doing as much as we can. I think Mark is correct. I mean, this war is halfway around the world, so it takes time to get all those materials to the folks. I think there was a very interesting poll yesterday that came out that said that 54% of Americans don't feel that the president has been tough enough on Putin regarding Russia, which seemed interesting to me since we have taken the lead in sending billions of military equipment to them, but it just doesn't seem to be resonating with the American people.
Yeah, Tom, speaking of President Biden, so a reporter yesterday asked the president on whether he's considering delaying Title 42. Take a listen to his response.
First of all, there's going to be an appeal by the Justice Department, because as a matter of principle, we want to be able to be in a position where if, in fact, it is strongly concluded by the scientists that we need Title 42, that we be able to do that. But there has been no decision on extending Title 42.
Tom, the president later had to release a statement to clarify his words, saying, quote, I want to clarify that in comments at the conclusion of my remarks this morning, I was referring to the CDC's mask mandate, and there is no Department of Justice action on Title 42. So he seemed a little confused, obviously mixing up the two, obviously the DOJ talking about mask mandates and not Title 42. But just another example of the White House playing cleanup.
Yeah, they look, he's had a rough week. I mean, they had the guy in the bunny suit at the beginning of the week running interference when he was asked a question about Afghanistan, and you saw that photo, that video of the Easter bunny rushing to block him from talking to this reporter. But you understand why, and unfortunately, this seems to be now happening more and more, where he seems to be getting confused about basic issues. When it comes to 42, it's very difficult to defend the indefensible. Right. When you've got 10 Senate Democrats are now saying, we oppose this. You've got candidates who are all across the country who are running away from this policy, and the White House still does not appear to be backing off. It's becoming a big political liability, but they don't seem to be willing to pivot.
Yeah,
on
no,
the
they
issue.
don't. Mark, it just, oh, go ahead. Chris, did you?
I was going to say what was really striking about that mistake to me also, it was one of the few times that the president sounded cognizant and put together a sentence, but it was the wrong policy. He got him confused.
Yeah, and usually he has note cards there. I don't know what the team is doing as far as prepping him. It was a pretty simple question, but look, we all get mixed up. I get confused all the time. Mark, why doesn't he just put a stop to these mask mandates, right? Because there's so much mixed messaging, right? So we're not going to roll back Title 42. We have to wear masks on planes. I mean, for the president, you have polls. We know his approval ratings are down. Why doesn't he just say, okay, COVID, it's here to stay. We have to live with it. We're done with masks. Don't you think that would help him in polls?
Are you trying to confuse me by asking me both about the mask mandate and Title 40?
Yes,
Look,
that's my goal.
Look, I'll be serious for a second. I think what happened yesterday was one of the most striking examples of the president's confusion in processing information that we've seen. It doesn't mean he should be removed from office. It doesn't mean that other presidents haven't made mistakes. We all make mistakes. But I look at that, and I talked to a couple people who were in the room, as a very disturbing moment. Not a gaffe, but a level of confusion that would be alarming in any leader, but particularly the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. So I think it's shameful how that was not covered. I found one so-called mainstream organization, Bloomberg, who covered what happened and put it in context.
Right.
I've not seen it anywhere else in liberal media, and I think that's dangerous for the world.
It is.
And Mark,
go ahead, Chris. Go.
Mark, should there be talk of removal since we saw that incident yesterday where he's confused and the confusing policy? Shouldn't there be talk of his removal?
I don't know enough about his condition. I know it's someone I've covered for decades, and he is not the person he was before.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
to confuse those two policies, he didn't claim he misheard the question. They didn't really explain why he got it wrong. They just said he got it wrong. And I'm so disturbed by that and the lack of coverage of it and the lack of discussion. The polls are pretty clear. National and state polls are pretty clear that people believe that he's not up to this, that he won't run again, that he shouldn't run again. On the policy question, I think that, there's a story in Politico that ran just a little while ago saying they don't plan to stop the suspension of the use of Title 42 on the border. I still believe that's a politically untenable position.
Yeah.
And on mask mandates, we've discussed this before. The polls actually support mandates still. The majority of people support it.
I don't
so
know who those people
would it help
are,
them
though,
politically
Mark.
go?
Maybe they're
Who are
you know
these
what?
people?
They're probably the people that were watching CNN Plus. I don't know. But
It's one of the most surprising poll results I've seen, but it's consistent. And so we say, would he help himself by getting rid of the mandates? The polls don't suggest that he would.
I think that it's really about control, though. I think that they feel like executive authority has been used, and a lot of people feel like has been abused throughout all of COVID. And they feel like they have to continue to push back against, any judicially imposed limits on that, and at least put up a fight, because it has consequences for a whole host of other policies, I think, that they would like to execute by just going through the executive branch agencies.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And to Mark's point, if you're watching some of these media outlets, you're not seeing the full story, and then it's just not fair to the public. It's a journalist's job to report both sides, and if you're watching, you have no idea what's going on. I want to quickly get to this because this made news. Another staffer is leaving the White House. Vice President Kamala Harris's chief of staff is leaving the administration. Tina Flaherty, she's I think it's the 12th staffer, 11th or 12th staffer, I'd have to check, but she was on staff for about 15 months. Lorraine Bowles will step into that role. Lorraine was brought in the summer. This is a little alarming, Chris. This is a lot of members who have been with her and have left in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and I'm a political staffer, a former political staffer. I've worked for a United States senator. The epitome of that career is to work in the White House in the West Wing and work for the president or for the vice president. And to see this many people leaving in 1 year is startling. And it either tells me, one, that she is very hard to work for, the vice president is, or they see that this administration is a sinking ship and they don't want this on their resume and are trying to get out as early as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We will pick this up at the next top of the hour. We thank you so much, Chris and Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks.